I'm Jay Pitts, a real estate broker, agent, leader, and investor. For the last decade, I've navigated the craziest of real estate markets this country has ever seen, selling over 2,000 homes, moving in and out of markets, always ahead of the curve. And now I'm bringing that perspective to you. This is your resource, and Real Talk About Real Estate starts right now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Resource, Real Talk About Louisville Real Estate. I'm Gabe Pruitt.
And I'm Jay Pitts.
Phil and Mally Wunderlich, hello.
Hey guys.
Hey. Can't believe this is your first time on the show after 2.5 years of being basically down the hall while we record, but it's nice to have you here in the
I think they've been on the show. They've just been talking in the hallway while we're recording, and we don't have a proper studio, so
yeah.
You can whisper
the
and
studio
ends up. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, but I digress. Phil and Mally Wunderlich are our guests today. They're two agents from our brokerage. They're actually on our team, the JT Pitts and Associates at Remax Premier Properties, which is a first for us. I don't think we've done any, or at least many, in brokerage interviews.
No, we had, Tracy ultimately joined the brokerage and she was a guest, but I think ultimately you guys are the first guest from the brokerage.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
You're honored.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Or you're just the ones that took pity on us and, decided to have a conversation. Tomato. We'll take it. Any way you slice it, we'll take it. But no, we're excited to have you guys. I thought, Gabe and I were kind of brainstorming, show ideas, and we have so many dynamic personalities here. And the first couple of episodes that we've done in the new Facebook group, the private Facebook group with interviews from agents of other brokerages, and more specifically talking about Louisville. I guess I got the cart before the horse there. The first couple episodes were agents from other brokerages, and we didn't want to get too far down the line without highlighting some folks and the interesting work that they're doing. And you guys were right at the top of my list with not only the fact that you are spouses and work together, that you're on our team, but also I would say probably one of the more heavily addressed topics at Resource since the very beginning 2.5 years ago has been real estate investing. And that's something that you guys have a passion for, and actually did that prior to getting into real estate full time.
Zach sold us some houses.
Yeah, my brother Zach obviously was a teammate of Phil's and classmate at U of L. Sold Phil and Mally a couple of investments prior to him getting into real estate, and you guys ultimately, I know the answers, but I'm going to ask it as if I don't. So we know that real estate investing can come in lots of shapes and sizes, but for the residential real estate practitioner, typically it comes in two forms: rental, buy and hold, or fix and flip. Yeah. So what's your favorite?
Favorite would be, ideally the long-term goal is acquire rentals and do that, but right now we pretty much flip exclusively.
Sure. So. And like I said, I knew the answers, so I asked. But so what? Give me some behind the scenes on that. What's the reason and rationale?
Reason to what we've done so far.
What's the reason that you prefer flipping, or that you do it pretty much exclusively at this moment?
It kind of just fell into our laps basically. So Zach sold us our first house that we ever owned, and Phil played baseball still, and over a few years we worked on it and fixed it up, and then we decided to sell it, and we made some money, and we're like, oh crap, let's keep doing this. This is fun.
Basically.
We did a good job. We had fun doing it together. At that time when we started, Phil was gone a lot, so when he was home, we were able to work on it a lot together around our schedule. So it was a great thing for us to do together and then make a profit. It was like, all right, this is cool. So it kind of just snowballed that way, and then we bought our next house, and then we bought our first house to actually flip. We closed on it the day before I went into labor with Harrison.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah. I don't know that I knew that.
Story.
Yeah, we closed. I went to work all day. The next morning my water broke. He was born, and we went straight to the flip. I wanted to see the progress.
I have actually, and this is obviously close to me. Jen's going to give birth this month at some point. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But so remembering the first time, when we had Preston, our oldest, I literally had a closing at 9 a.m. the morning that he was born. He was born at 9 p.m., but she woke me up that morning really early and said, hey, I think this is happening. And we went to the doctor and they sent us home. And literally I said, okay, I've got a closing at 9 o'clock. I got it pushed back to 10. I'm going to drop you at the house. I'm going to go close on this rental. and then I'll come back and I'll take the rest of the day off. And literally I got about 3 miles down Shelbyville Road, and she called me and said my water broke, and I literally like U-turn in Shelbyville Road. But yeah, it's so it's safe to say that real estate investing is kind of folded into the fabric of your relationship.
Yeah, and our family too. I mean, like I said, Harrison was born, and for the first few months of his life, he lived in that house. He'd like be in his pack and play in one room, and I'd be painting in the other room.
We were a little more hands-on than we are.
Yeah, well, and
that's we do it all together, like the three of us.
Well, we can talk about that a little more, about how you progress, right, from your first investment to doing multiple jobs at a time, right, which is where you guys are now.
Yeah.
But I think that's safe to say. I think it's fair to say. How many times have we seen each other? I just got done, obviously. You know where I'm going. Floor and Decor is like we both should own stock at this point, I think. I just got done renovating my personal house, and Phil and Mally and I and Jen and our families have seen each other multiple times at the tile store.
Yeah.
So I think that's Harrison is going to grow up to be very well versed in real estate, fix and flip, and
he'll either love it or hate it.
Well, I love this. I love this. And Gabe, don't let me steamroll here.
Please take it away.
You have literally not spoken since we opened the show, but it's.
I'm a man of few words. You know this.
Man of few words with the best DJ voice in the company. Anyway, so let's move forward and be a little more formal about the discussion after this, because I know it is personal, and I know it's a lot of fun, and I know you have a lot of fun with it, but I would imagine that there is some strategy behind it, like not just the profits, right? Because that's very tangible. You can say, I bought this for $100, I put 40 in it, I sold it for 180, I made 40 grand, right? Did I do my math right, Gabe?
Yeah. Sounds right.
He would have got me if I didn't. But there's got to be intangible, untangible benefit. Intangible.
Intangible.
It's got to be an intangible benefit, right? So what might that be? I mean, I can only imagine it helps your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your sales business.
Certainly. I mean, you all know, is a little more hands-on with our social media presence than I am. And
weird.
Yeah. But she does an awesome job.
Interesting. Tell me more.
We always have content at our disposal because we always have projects going, and it's cool, and people like to consume it, and she does an awesome job putting it out there, and then people reach out, either, design help, hey, I want to talk about investing, hey, I want to sell my house, like whatever, it helps. It helps your presence. It helps build your business.
So would you say that you went in with the understanding that would be the case, or like was it on purpose, or did it happen naturally? Like did you just feel compelled to share because you were proud? I'm sure you were proud, but did you share because you were proud or because you knew that it would pay dividend?
I think both, because obviously, like you said, we are proud of what we are doing and what we've done in the last couple of years in this business that we're growing, but also we want to grow our real estate business, and that's our full-time job, and people like to see what's going on. I mean, how many people watch like HGTV and This Is Real Life?
I was going to say, as far as real estate content goes, that's got to be the most attractive of it all, is like the before and after type stuff.
Or like the in the thick of it stuff, because you don't always see that, and a lot of times you see on TV.
Well, you wonder how over dramatized. Yeah. Is it over dramatized? I don't know these people. Like everybody can get into the Chip and Joanna Gaines transformation type stuff. Like the before and after, like Gabe said, is amazing, but like these people watching this via their social media, your Instagram stories, your Facebook page, your whatever, like they know you.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and these are the very same people that you would like to market and sell homes to and for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I can only imagine that you gain some legitimacy. I mean, it's something that I do in my career, and I certainly know what my opinions are. But I want to hear it. I want to hear it more from you guys, because it's been a while since I started, right? And things are a little different for me now, okay? I'm generating leads and trying to generate traffic for a whole host of individuals, right? But, you guys are at it, inside of 5 years, right? In terms of being formally in real estate sales and marketing, maybe investing slightly longer than that. Yeah. But, so do you have an end game in mind? Is there a goal? You said own real estate.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll always do the flipping regardless, even as we pursue purchasing rentals. That would be my guess. Yeah. We enjoy it, and if there's a deal, we want to buy it and we want to do it, and we like doing it together, and if it makes money, great, and it helps build, like we just talked about, our actual business too. But I think right now it's more flip heavy than rental, because trying to build capital so that we can start acquiring rentals, which is the long-term thing to set us up to
passive income.
I don't want to work till I'm 70. I don't,
I'm
I
with
just
you.
don't, or anywhere close to it, quite honestly. And so I think that's the end game is we get to work together. We enjoy what we do. We enjoy working together on the flips. We enjoy working together with clients, but also set us up long term for the goals that we have, so that we don't have to work forever and we can do what we like to do while we're doing it, and then have the flexibility and the freedom to do what we want when we're at a point where we can do that.
Let me ask you something, because you make it sound, and rightfully so, like it's like the best option for anybody in real estate. Like clearly this is the best way to get exactly what you want, retire earlier than you thought, extra income on the side, better social media content. Why do you think more agents don't personally invest? Because I know a lot do, but why don't you think all real estate agents end up investing?
I would say the same reason most people who don't do things don't do them. Probably fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of my hard-earned money that I've earned that I'm now putting into something.
Because I'm sure you guys have never lost money on flipping or renovating or anything like that, right? There's never been any hiccups at all.
That would be incorrect, but I appreciate that vote of confidence.
But you're alive, you're still here.
Yeah. I mean, that's life though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's certainly not for everybody. And there are other ways to make money. Flipping houses is not for everybody. It's not, we enjoy it, but that doesn't mean it's always fun.
Okay.
I mean,
it's work. Yeah.
It is.
And there are times where you want to rip your hair out, and there's times where, I mean, Jay, so much of it's problem solving.
Yeah.
You think it's going to go this way, and it's going to cost this much, and it's going to sell for this much, and then it costs this much plus $15,000 and takes an extra month and a half of interest on your loan, and then it sells for 10% less than you thought it was going to because it took longer in the market, and then, or in the middle of the project, something happened that you never would have known was going to happen, and it's problem solving, and you want to scream sometimes.
I mean, I'm sitting on a $600,000 flip right now, right? That had 9 showings opening weekend, listed $100,000 higher than it is now, and we had to cancel 9 showings because a GFI tripped.
Yep.
And a sump pump didn't run.
Oh, yeah.
And so we got a trickle of water in the basement, and nobody wants to buy a $700,000 house with a leaky basement.
Yeah.
So we canceled the showings, we fixed the problem, then we put it back on the market. We never got those back. Yeah. And here I am 6 months later, still at it. And that's the not so rosy side, right?
Yeah, that's frustrating.
That's the not so rosy side. So yeah, it's not perfect, but I would agree, and I think you guys would too, that it is the perfect medium for someone getting into real estate that is fairly established. Okay, and you can get there sooner than you might think. You don't have to have like a business that's on Easy Street. You don't have to do 100 deals a year as a real estate agent to be capable of going into flipping.
Because we don't have either of those. So.
but
to be clear.
But at the same time, like it is certainly, I don't know. There's just so much about it. Like you have to know the inventory. Mm-hmm. You have to know the market.
Yeah.
You're putting in a lot of ways that consumers, I think, would really want to see. You're putting your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely. And I think that helps not only getting clients who are looking to invest, but also just people looking at houses. Like we are practicing what we preach every single day. We're looking at this, like looking for deals with our clients. We're doing all that stuff. So
taking the hit on the price reduction that you didn't want to make.
Exactly. Like we're not just casually buying a house every few years to move. It's like we are always looking just like our clients. So we're right there with them in the trenches of real estate.
Builds a lot of trust too, yeah.
Okay, so I would call that like one of the main benefits, like just basically getting the legitimacy that comes with that, right? Mm-hmm. Like from the client. So let me just ask a direct question: can you source real business, sales, listings, buyers back to? I mean, I know you get design requests all the time. You may or may not take on. You may do pro bono work. You may not. Whatever. But can you trace it directly back to the promotion of your flip property and your business as a flipper? Or is it more?
Yeah, I would say so.
Or
yeah.
So both. I do this. I get a direct response return. Okay, but also I do this and I gain legitimacy and a great reputation for being a practitioner, and then ultimately those people are more likely to transact.
Yeah, I was going to say like Jesse and Michael too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. People on Trillion, and we met, and then
I helped her come up with design stuff for their house. They bought a rental property with us. They'll sell their house with us. They want to buy more rental properties. So it's just like.
And I don't even know why. When you were walking up 10 minutes ago, I was on the phone with our health insurance broker called and said, "Hey, I was meeting. We have the same accountant who's one of our good friends. Hey, I was meeting with Drew, and I thought of you. We've got my in-laws' house. We've been trying to sell by ourselves in such and such neighborhood. I'll send you the lockbox code and the address, and you guys can go look. I don't know if you can make any money, but I know you do it, so why don't?" Yeah. It's like, okay, great.
Well, and I mean, what are your alternatives to gain those impressions, right? Like, number one, it's not free to invest. Obviously, you put money into your investments, but it is free to market your investments via social, videos and such. But what's your alternative? You're going to take out a bus bench ad. You're going to send out postcards. You're going to do whatever. Like, I mean, what has the same impact? Like, I often say that real estate, we're very lucky that we get to be in an industry where people will willingly go out and request information about what we have to sell without us ever having to come to them. Mm-hmm. And so you take that a step further when it comes to investing, because there's a segment of the population that really wants to do it, that for whatever reason, fear or whatnot, they never do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, all right, question. And I realize we stand the risk of creating our own competition here, but that's kind of what we're about here at Resource. So would you recommend flipping houses to realtors? The realtors that are out there watching, in this brokerage, not in this brokerage, varying levels of experience, should they do it now or strive to get to a place where they feel like they can do it financially?
Of course.
Okay.
Why we wouldn't do it if?
Yeah.
I mean, you should know the market, so you should be able to locate a deal. I think if you've been in it with any sort of experience or time, you probably should have references to contractors that you provide to clients. So you should have resources.
Yeah, we didn't even get to that.
And so those two things alone, you should be able to spot a deal, and you should at least feel like you have some references to help you execute. And if you don't feel like you have either of those, then you're probably not in a position. You're maybe not,
Well, you're not in the place that you need to be able to solve your clients' problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we've said it many times over on this show, that your income as a real estate agent is directly in direct correlation to the size of the problem that you can solve. So if you can solve these problems, I mean, how many times? I know it's happened with you numerous times. You get a text that, hey, you know a good plumber?
Yes.
And you respond, sure. Here's his or her name. What's up? Oh, we're thinking about putting our house on the market in the spring, and we just want to tidy up a few things. Yeah. Like, that is a very real situation.
Yeah.
But if you don't have one, I mean, you're literally. I mean,
you just respond, nope.
You just brought a knife to a gunfight, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, you're just not prepared.
A balloon sword.
Well, even look at our
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Guys, it's not just meetings that Gabe brings the weird jokes.
You were going to say something related to what we were talking about.
No, not at all.
Go ahead.
Definitely not a balloon, whatever you said. A balloon
You said bring a knife to a gunfight. I said more like a balloon sword. We don't need to rehash this. Go ahead.
Even less effective. Mally sold a former babysitter house this past spring, maybe, and she really loved the house. Hated the bathroom, but the bathroom was huge and older house. Usually the bathrooms are like as big as this table that we're gathered around, but it was really big and spacious, but just dated. And we had the resources to help her execute. She had the means to do a renovation, and we helped her execute the renovation, which probably helped her decide this is a great house for me.
Okay, you're like launching a whole new line of thought for me. Okay, so you created a sale. Hold on. Your skills created a sale that wasn't there to begin with. Number one.
Probably helped make the decision. She loved the house, but she wasn't
ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Because it was daunting to her to figure out how am I ever going to buy this house, which is otherwise perfect, because the bathroom I can't deal with.
Right. Well, from the get-go, her thought was kind of like, what if you find a house and then you flip it and then I'll just like buy it from you because I don't want to deal with it. And we were just kind of like, I don't know, let's just try to find something. And so this house, she liked a lot of things about it, but there are like the kitchen, the bathroom, and we're like, well, we can help you with that. We can get past that obstacle, and this house is perfect for you. It's a good investment where it's located. The
house across the street sold for $100,000 more than you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, like, this is a good setup for you for your first house. And she obviously trusts us I mean, she was only Harrison's babysitter for a few months, so not like from that,
but still
she trusts us and trusts what we do and sees what we do a lot on social media, and
that's
wanted
perfect.
us to help her.
Well, and that's kind of, I mean, before I got the lightning bolt that Phil brought to my brain about a few seconds ago, I was going to say that, have you ever considered doing that? But before we get to that, because I know that's a whole nother line, you saved it, you made a deal happen where it wasn't going to necessarily. I can only imagine you do the same for saving a deal that has home inspection problems and that kind of thing. So you're supporting yourself. I often say the difference between good and great agents is good agents get paid the first time they sell a house, not the second and third time, right?
Yeah.
And saving a deal is a big, big situation. So if you can refer those contractors, you can save a transaction that should go through. Yeah. But so let's go back to the other. So those are two benefits, but have you considered going that route, like the love it or list it route, right? That you see on these shows where you get this like full home renovation type as a result of the purchase, or what is it? I guess that's the Chip and Joanna. What's their show called?
Fixer Upper.
Fixer Upper, yeah.
That's kind of like love it or list it.
It's just that, like, there's two houses, right?
Yes.
On that one?
You have to decide if they want their brand new house or if they want their old house.
Jen watches these a lot more than me. And I come home and I go, ugh.
It's like a marriage counselor watching The Bachelor. You know?
It's like, turn it. No, it's like a marriage counselor's spouse watching The Bachelor when the marriage counselor comes home.
Okay, gotcha.
But we'll get to working with the spouse thing here in a minute. But no, so have you thought about that?
I mean, a little bit, but just kind of.
Would you recommend it?
Flipping a house,
flipping a house to someone, like almost like a custom, like a custom build.
Do you mean like working with a client and they say, I like this house, I don't know what to do with it. You buy it, you flip it, and then I'll buy it from you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, essentially. Hey, I like I trust you to renovate to my taste.
Yeah.
Because I can only imagine, Mally, you get to, I mean, you talk to Jen a lot about selections that we made for our house. So I know that that's something you're very interested in.
Jen never seeks out my opinion.
But hey, Phil, she doesn't seek out mine either, so it's okay. And she doesn't watch this, so we're okay. I'm in the clear. No, so someone reaches out to you and says, hey, I like your design.
Yeah.
I'd love to buy a house from you guys, but I really don't even know what I'm looking for. Could you help me find a house that you could renovate for me and make it everything I ever want because here's my budget?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like there's a substantial amount of risk there.
Yeah. And that's kind of like that situation kind of came up with this person, his former babysitter. And I think you guys talked about it a little bit because we're just like,
we spitballed the risk aspect.
Yeah, like what happens if she decides she doesn't want it? We have to make sure we can actually sell it to somebody else.
Yeah, I was going to say, you only take on projects you know you could flip to anyone.
Right, and you want them to be happy if it's their house, but then if for some reason they back out, and then you're like,
and they wanted really kooky stuff.
Job transfer, anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's someone you have a relationship with, you're not going to hold them to it. Or if the dream house comes, well, this house is 80% done. You tell that person you can't buy.
Yeah, and you put pink granite in the kitchen.
Right, and then what do you do?
That's gonna be $8,000 to replace. Yeah. I mean, something like that. That's really hard. I mean, I remember my experience, and I think what I imparted, Phil, at that time that you and I discussed it was that I grew up with semi-custom home builders, right? And they would develop neighborhoods and sell, and they'd get them under roof and let people make selections. Well, that's the challenge. You let somebody make really, really taste-specific selections, or they have really daring design sense, it really limits your ability to resell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's another thing. Okay, so let's go there. You guys have a look about your houses. Okay, I think that's fair to say, right? I think Mally takes pride in that. Wouldn't you say?
It's all Phil.
Yeah. It's all Phil.
No, we're very collaborative. We are very collaborative.
I know you are.
It's not just me.
I know you are, and I think that's very nice that you give.
That's very kind of you.
Very nice and very probably untrue that you give him credit, but that's okay. Phil certainly brings a lot to the table. We're not gonna sell him short, but I think you probably get final say on design choices.
Yeah,
wouldn't you guess?
That's true.
Would you agree?
Yes. Of
course,
okay.
Obviously.
So I think it's the great, and I may have told you this before, and if I haven't, I should, and I'll tell you now. I think the greatest compliment you can pay a builder is that their homes have a look, right? And that in my mind is a desirable look, not an undesirable look. I think your houses that you guys flip have a look. I think they're very relevant to the areas that you flip in. Mm-hmm. I think the design choices are very, very in for sure, right? But not so in that they're cliched in.
Yeah.
Like you're a step ahead. And I think that makes your property sell really quickly. So I guess my question is,
thank you.
Do you? You are welcome. Do you recommend? And look, what is it? What's the sincerest form of flattery? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Do you see that? Do you see imitation? Do you think your look is contrasting enough that you see imitation?
Okay, so
I know
what were you going to say? What were you going to say?
What about Ryan Brown?
What about him?
We listed a house, and then he happened to have some similar tile selections
Oh.
shortly
You're right.
afterwards.
Yeah, he did.
I think,
Copier.
and no, he's told
No,
me
yes.
he watches your stuff, and I guarantee, and he should.
Yeah.
Let me see if he's watching live.
Ryan, are you on? Ryan
He's
is
really big. I'm afraid of him. I was just kidding.
Didn't he call you Big Papa Phil in a meeting recently?
Which is an absolute joke.
That's funny. That's funny.
No, but so same babysitter, going back to her again, but a lot of the same stuff. I mean, even after, we handed her people to help her with her bathroom, she was coming to me with a lot of design choices as well. And it's like, oh, where'd you get this faucet? Where'd you get this? Where'd you get this? Wanting to pick a lot of the same things.
Sure.
We even both just picked the same floors unknowingly for her house and the house we just flipped, because we had talked about a few options with her. So I think in that, she likes the vibe of the houses that we do, and she was going for the same thing, which is why she wanted us to do a house.
Well, I think that it's in furtherance of your brand, and I would imagine, because what I've noticed, I mean, despite your houses having a look, you're evolving.
Yeah,
it's not the same every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told you certain things that I really appreciate just visually, because I know how much it matters in photography, how much it matters grabbing attention.
Yeah, and I think for us, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
I think it's important that, we're trying to do a lot of volume and try to grow every year with what we're doing. And I don't want every single house, we don't want every single house to look the same. We don't want it to be like, oh, this looks just like the other white ranch that they did, or the other brick house that they painted white, which we've done a few of those. But the insides have all been different, and each house has their own feeling. And I think it needs to be cohesive, and so they all are similar, but they've all been a little different.
I think it's okay to be similar.
Yeah.
I think they should be similar, but I think you should.
You can tell it's our house, but they're not exactly the same.
You evolve your taste.
Yeah.
And I think, being that is true about what you do, I would think that the imitation would be flattering and wouldn't be troublesome to you, because you're on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
You're on to the next thing for that next house that makes sense, because it's not a recipe, right? You're not executing the same recipe every time. You may like black and white contrast right now, and that may be, and I've told you how much I appreciate it in your current project. I really do like it, but it may not be just the same execution in the next one.
Exactly.
Right? This house presented an opportunity to go there, so you went there.
Exactly. And there's things that, I'll find a faucet that I love and it's inexpensive. I'm like, I'm going to keep ordering it until it's sold out. But it's not going to look the same because the whole kitchen's different or the whole bathroom's different.
Sure. And light fixtures and
exactly.
I've noticed different hardwood. You've done some different things with hardwood colors and finishes and things like that. I mean that, it's not barnwood baseboards in every house, right? It's not that kind of thing. It's not shiplap everywhere.
Hey, we did our first shiplap in this house.
I
guess not our first. Not our first.
No.
Our first and a flip.
Yeah.
Shiplap's okay.
They say you never forget your first shiplap.
Who says that?
I said it just now.
Can we get a rim shot on that one?
I'll edit it in later.
Anyway, so, well, all right. So I guess, because we try to keep these episodes about 30 minutes, which we're there. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask, you two working together. You've always worked together on the investments, okay? And time flies when you're having fun. So forgive me if I don't remember exactly how long. Are you 2 years licensed?
It will be 2 years.
It's almost 2 years, isn't it? Okay.
Wow.
And licensed 4?
Yeah.
4 and 2. So together in real estate, sales and marketing for about 2 years. Okay. So you were used to working together on the investments. Clearly it's something you appreciate doing.
Yeah.
Probably why you got your license and decided to work together even more. I know a lot of times you guys ride together to the office. Yeah. It seems like a very collaborative team. How is that for you? Because not everybody can do that.
Yeah, our relationship works that way. It's not for everybody because, when you say it's hard to turn work off for real estate, we go to work together, we work together, we come home, and we're talking about real estate together. So it's kind of always going, which is good for our business because we're always working on stuff, but it's always rolling.
But you said it's something that you two actually enjoy too, right? It's not like it's like, oh, we have to talk about real estate every single night when we're trying to eat dinner. It's like something that you guys do together and spend time together doing.
It is, and I think with like the investing and stuff, or if we're working on designs for a house, we can be sitting there, watching a movie or doing whatever at home, like with the computer up, like, oh, do you like this? Should we order this? Let's pull the trigger. Let's do this.
Or like we need to find another house right now, and so we're sitting there watching a movie over the weekend. I'm just like scrolling through the same MLS listings I've been looking at, but trying to find something, just trying to find
which one hit 60 or 90 days on market is ready to deal.
Which one?
Yeah. Which one have we looked at 12 times, and then maybe we should go look at it again? You just never know. So, it's like I said, we enjoy it, and it works for our relationship dynamic, but...
Yeah. And I think we do a good job of when we're doing family stuff, we do family stuff, and we turn it off. But it's also important to me that our son... that he gets to come look at the houses with us and gets to see what we do and like how we work and how we make money and why you get to go to the school you go to and why you get to have 10,000 toys all over the house.
Because we have to work.
How often do things cost money?
Yeah.
Well, speaking from experience, I grew up in a real estate family, right? I was close to it. It wasn't flips as much as it was new construction and property management and painting houses and, cutting grass and doing crazy stuff like that. But you do grow up having an appreciation. And if it's not forced, right, it's just life, right? And that for me, like people ask me, a lot. Like, how can you possibly know the things that you know? You've really only been in the business 10 years.
But you've been in it your whole life.
I've been in it my whole life.
Yeah.
And so whether I really understood what I was hearing or not, it's just
sinking in.
Simple.
Yeah.
It's osmosis. It's something, there's something to it. And so I think he'll appreciate that. Whether he chooses to do something completely different or not, he will always have a skill set that other kids don't.
Yeah.
Right? And
I think it's cool. Obviously it takes up time, but it allows us to be flexible with our time and allows us to have him tag along for a lot of things that we do that are work, but he's still a part of it, and it's like a family thing to do. So I think that's really cool.
Well, and it is something to be able to work together, to be able to have this thing as a family is something to be envied, frankly. Because a lot of people out there, not the real estate agents that are watching this show, but they're clients for certain, and they should understand this about you too. They're clients that work 9 to 5s and clock in and out and then don't know what to do with their time from 5 to 10 p.m. every day, right? And they can only go to the park so many times on the weekends. Right, and they're relegated to their W-2 income and the 401k that they can contribute to. Like, they relish, they appreciate, this inspires them. So you showing them your family doing these things, and that makes them want to work with you because they want to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
And so as agents, as agents, like we're taught in business, right, that you keep business and personal separate. But not this day and age. Let's just be honest. You need to have separation for your own sanity. Yeah. And I'm sure you guys have that conversation. You're like, okay, it's date night. We're not going to talk about the house. I'm sure you have. No?
Never? Maybe, but then
every
never
once in a while?
No, it's not like we
turn it off.
Turn it off. We'll just
But you choose that.
You turn it down. Don't turn it off.
Yeah, we turn it down. Like low volume.
But it's not like a conscious, like,
we have to talk about it. It's just
everybody has
within
bad
our
days,
life.
though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sometimes I'm like, I'm so sick about talking about these stupid houses. Like, don't even talk to me today.
Yeah.
But that's not every day.
No, it's not, and you love it. It's clear. You love it, and it's clear,
Yeah.
and that so you don't find yourself in that situation often. So
no, not at all.
All right, is there ever a moment before we wrap up that the business got you pissed off at one another, where you felt like I have
Jay
to,
saved
I have
the
to
realness
get, I have
for
to
the
get,
last
I have to
60
get,
seconds.
I have to get away. You ever have that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Usually, I get more frustrated by the way people buying our houses conduct themselves.
Okay.
That makes me want to lose my mind more than anything.
Let me tell you why I asked the
question. I can
question.
deal with like the bad news about a house or things not as far along as they should have been based on where it was 3 days ago. I get pissed for an hour or two, and then it's part of it. But like when people don't act in a way that I think.
And so you got to play good cop, bad cop on that.
Yeah, and it gets frustrating because like we try to do the right thing and be nice and like try to make it as easy as possible. People
And
try and buy a house.
it gets taken advantage of.
Yeah, and it's just like why why can't you just be a good person?
And
like,
you're
we're being
months
good people.
invested too. Like at this point, it's like it's been consuming you for months on months, and this person's been here for 4 days. They're crapping all over the house, and it's like if
why
you
didn't
only
you put
knew.
the toilet there? Why didn't you do this there? Why didn't you take down that wall? You can tell that's fresh in mind. I'm a current. Trust me. I've asked for honest feedback on my current project, and I've gotten it. No, but I appreciate that. No, the reason I asked the question is you appear to be the other person's safe space. To me, if you're having a shitty day, she brings you back down. If you're having a bad day, he holds you up, and vice versa, right? Like so. Working together, I think if you're watching this and you're considering working with your spouse, that's what you want to be. And that's why I asked the question, because invariably it's not perfect, right? It can't be.
Exactly.
It can't be. You're gonna want to like roll your eyes at one another and say something snarky every once in a while. You're human. Occasionally. So, and if I'm not going there, I was gonna speak from personal experience. I think, frankly, because we've got a little bit of an intimate audience at the moment. This thing is not like millions of members yet. Sure. I think Phil and Mally would be willing to talk to you if you were making that, considering making that leap. Yep. Because working with your spouse, I do in a very different way than you guys. Our offices are as far as they could possibly be away from one another within the building. Within the building, bottom left and top right. But it works for us, and it's not perfect. But I think you should talk to somebody before you do it, before you take that risk, because your relationship is what's most important.
Yeah,
I think you would agree that it's more important than your business, obviously.
100%.
Because you're both talented people. You could do almost anything and be successful. You choose to do this, and you choose to do it together.
Yeah.
So lots to unpack from today, and we probably need to wrap up.
Yeah, but there's tons of jumping off points here and all kinds of different discussions we could have. So if you're watching this live, feel free to keep the conversation going in the group. We'd love to hear from you. We've got a lot of flippers in the group too.
Yeah,
so I would like to hear all kinds of different perspectives on some of the things we've talked about today, especially if you're working with a spouse too. I know we've got a handful of those too in the group too. Yeah. So feel free to sound off as soon as this is over.
Absolutely. Guys, I appreciate you making the time. I know you're busy.
Absolutely.
I know you got things going on. Any parting words? Flip more houses?
Yeah.
Matt Gold. You're a Matt Gold fan, right?
What?
Bryce. He's talking about
Matt with the E.
Oh, yeah.
With an E.
She's like, who is Matt Gold?
I'm like, do I know him?
No, Matte. Matt. Like,
we go way back.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Watching the live feed, my face when there's a delay. My face when she didn't know what I was talking about was priceless. You're gonna have to go back and watch that. Anyway,
yes,
that's all the time.
MATTE Brass, big fan.
I'm just gonna put hashtag like Matt Brass right after this.
Some dude named
hashtag
Matt Gold send you a DM.
Matt
Yes,
Gold.
if your
I
name
love
is Matt Gold, slide into my DM.
have you seen the new MacBook commercials? By the way, by Microsoft?
Yeah.
They found a guy named Malcolm Book.
Oh, really?
Mackenzie Book.
Oh, okay.
And his name is MacBook.
I haven't seen that, but
MacBook.
we can discuss that in the comments here too.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in, folks. For Phil and Mally Wunderlich, Gabe Pruitt, Resource Real Talk about Louisville real estate.
That's right.
Send us a DM, ask for access to the group. This will be on iTunes very soon, and we'll be back next week.
See you guys next time.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yep.